I wasn't at the celebration when my company hit its first million in revenue. I was alone in my apartment, looking at the notification on my laptop screen, feeling nothing. Not pride, not excitement, just a quiet, hollow acknowledgement that I had done what everyone said I couldn't do. The champagne I bought 3 months earlier was still in my fridge, unopened. I had imagined sharing it with someone, anyone, but there was no one to call. My name is Alyssa Beard, and I built a financial consulting firm from the ground up, alone. Completely alone. Not because I wanted to be some kind of lone wolf entrepreneur, but because when I actually needed people, when I was building something real, everyone I knew disappeared. But when things started to fall apart, that's when they all came back. Let me go back to the beginning, because the pattern didn't start with my business. It started long before that. I grew up as the responsible one, not the oldest, but the one people relied on. My older brother was charismatic, always in trouble, always forgiven. My younger sister was the creative one, the sensitive one, the one who needed protection. And me? I was the one who figured things out, the one who got scholarships, the one who worked to jobs through college, the one who graduated without debt while my siblings accumulated loans they never intended to pay back. I became a financial analyst at 24. By 28, I was managing portfolios worth 8 figures. I was good at what I did because I understood something fundamental that most people don't. Money is not emotional. It's a tool, a resource, a language that speaks in numbers, not feelings. My family never understood that. When I was 26, my brother's startup failed. He had been working on some tech thing, something he could never quite explain clearly, which should have been my first warning sign. He burned through $200,000 of investor money in 18 months, and had nothing to show for it except an expensive office lease, and a lot of networking events at craft breweries. He called me at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Alyssa, I need help. I'm going to lose everything. I should have asked questions. I should have asked what everything meant for someone who never had anything to begin with. But I didn't. I sent him $30,000, enough to cover his personal debts, his rent, his car payment, enough to keep him afloat while he figured things out. He never paid me back. We never talked about it again. When I was 29, my sister decided to go to art school in New York, a prestigious program, $50,000 a year. My parents couldn't help, they were barely managing their own retirement. She called me crying, saying it was her dream, her only chance. I co-signed her loans. I sent her money for rent, for supplies, for living expenses in one of the most expensive cities in the world. For 3 years, I subsidized her dream. She graduated and moved back home. She works at a coffee shop now. She never mentions the loans. I'm still making the payments. My parents were proud of me in the way parents are proud of a functional appliance. Alyssa's doing well, they'd say to relatives. Not Alyssa built something extraordinary, or Alyssa achieved something remarkable. Just doing well, like I was a washing machine that hadn't broken down yet. When I told them I was leaving my corporate job to start my own consulting firm, my father actually laughed. Not cruelly, but dismissively. Alyssa, that's a huge risk. You have a good job. Why would you walk away from security? My mother agreed. You're not a risk taker, sweetheart. You're the stable one. Let your brother do the entrepreneurial stuff. You're better at playing it safe. I told them I had been planning this for 2 years. I had clients lined up. I had capital saved. I had a business plan vetted by 3 different mentors in the industry. My father shook his head. I think you're making a mistake. I started the company anyway. I called it Beard Advisory Group, a clean, professional, no flash, no gimmicks, just expertise and results. The first year was brutal, not because I didn't have clients, but because I was doing everything myself. I was the consultant, the accountant, the marketer, the IT department, the receptionist. I worked 16-hour days. I slept for hours a night. I lost weight. I stopped seeing friends, though to be honest, I hadn't had many to begin with. During that first year, my family called me twice. Once to invite me to Thanksgiving, which I couldn't attend because I was flying to a client meeting. Once when my brother needed a reference for an apartment rental. No one asked how the business was going. No one asked if I needed anything. No one seemed to notice that I had disappeared into my work like someone drowning. But I didn't drown. I swam. Hard. By the end of year 2, I had 12 corporate clients and 3 individual high net worth clients. I hired my first employee, a junior analyst fresh out of grad school. By year 3, I had an office downtown, a team of 5, and revenue that put me in the top 15% of women-owned businesses in the state. That's when my phone started ringing. My brother called first. He had a new business idea. I've learned so much from the last one, Liz. I know what I did wrong. I just need some startup capital and someone to help me structure things properly. You know, financial strategy stuff. Your specialty. I listened to his pitch. It was vague, overly optimistic, and built on assumptions that had no basis in market reality. How much are you looking for? I asked. Well, ideally 100,000, but I could make 50 work if you helped me leverage it properly. I told him I'd think about it. I didn't call him back. My sister called next. She wanted to start an Etsy shop selling her artwork. I just need help setting up the business structure and maybe some money for inventory and marketing. You're so good at this stuff, and I know you're doing really well now. She didn't ask how much I was making. She just assumed there was enough to share. Then my parents called. They wanted to refinance their house. The bank is asking for all these documents and projections, and you know we're not good with this stuff. Could you help us? Maybe co-sign if they need it? I helped them with the documents. I did not co-sign. My father sounded disappointed. Alyssa, we're family. I thought you'd want to help. I am helping, I said. I'm doing your financial analysis for free, but I can't tie my business credit to your mortgage. That's not personal. It's structural. He didn't understand the difference. What bothered me wasn't the requests. It was the timing. For 3 years, I had been invisible, struggling, building, bleeding myself dry to create something stable. And no one noticed. No one cared. But the moment I succeeded, I became useful again. I was the ATM, the resource, the solution to everyone else's problems. Not a person, a function. Then came the turning point. The moment that changed everything. It was early autumn. My company had just closed its largest contract to date, a multi-year consulting agreement with a mid-sized manufacturing firm that needed a complete financial restructuring. It was the kind of client that would triple our revenue and establish us as a serious player in the market. I was tired, deeply tired, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind that lives in your bones. I had been running on adrenaline and discipline for 4 years straight. I hadn't taken a vacation. I hadn't dated. I hadn't done anything that wasn't directly related to keeping the business alive and growing. I was burning out, and I knew it. I decided to take 2 weeks off. Just 2 weeks. I told my team. I set up coverage. I forwarded my emails to my senior analyst. I was going to go to a cabin upstate, disconnect, and remember what it felt like to be a person instead of a productivity machine. 3 days before I was supposed to leave, my brother called. Liz, I need you to look at something. I'm pitching to investors next week and I need your help structuring the financials. Can you put together a projection model? It's kind of urgent. I was so tired. I'm about to go on vacation. Can it wait 2 weeks? Vacation? Come on, Alyssa. This is important. This could actually work this time. I just need a few hours of your time. A few hours. It's never a few hours. I'll send you some templates you can use, I said. But I can't do it for you. I need this break. There was a pause. Then his voice changed, colder. You know, it's interesting. You have all this success, and you can't even help your own brother. I guess I know where I stand. He hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not guilt, something quieter, a kind of clarity. I went on my vacation. I didn't check my email. I didn't answer calls. When I came back, I felt more like myself than I had in years, rested, clear, ready to work again. That's when I found out I had been written out of the narrative. My mother called. We're having a family dinner on Saturday to celebrate your brother's new investment. He got funding for his company. We're so proud. Can you make it? He got funding? I was genuinely surprised. That's great. How much? $75,000. From a group of local investors. Isn't that wonderful? It was wonderful. For him. I'll be there, I said. The dinner was at my parents' house. The dining room table was covered with food, all my brother's favorites. There was a cake with "Congratulations, David," written in blue frosting. I walked in and everyone was already there. My brother, my sister, my parents, my aunt and uncle, 2 of my brother's friends, Alyssa. My mother hugged me. We're just so excited. David's finally got his big break. I smiled. I sat down. I listened. My brother talked about his vision, his strategy, his team. He talked about how he had learned from his mistakes, how he had grown, how he was ready this time. Everyone listened like he was delivering a TED Talk. Then my father raised his glass. To David, for never giving up on his dreams. For having the courage to be an entrepreneur. We always knew you had it in you. I took a sip of wine. I didn't say anything. After dinner, I helped my mother clear the table. She was talking about how relieved she was, how worried she had been about David, how nice it was to finally see him succeed. You must be proud of him too, she said. I am, I said, and I meant it. I was proud. He had secured funding. That's not easy, but something gnawed at me. Later, when people were having coffee in the living room, I pulled my brother aside. Hey, congrats again. I'm really happy for you. Thanks, Liz. He smiled. I know you were skeptical, but I told you I could do it. I was never skeptical of you. I just couldn't help with the model when you asked. I was burned out. He shrugged. It's fine. I figured it out. Actually, one of my investors helped me. He's a finance guy. Really smart. I nodded. That's great. Who are the investors, by the way? He listed 3 names. 2 I didn't recognize. 1 I did. Marcus Chen, a client of mine. Someone I had worked with for 2 years. I kept my face neutral. Marcus Chen is your investor. Yeah, you know him. He's my client. David laughed. Oh, small world. He's great, right? Super helpful. He basically restructured my whole pitch deck. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. I locked the door and stood there, breathing slowly. Marcus Chen had invested in my brother's company using financial strategies I had designed for him. My brother had gotten funding because of work I had done, work I was never credited for, work that benefited someone else while I was explicitly told I wasn't supportive enough. I splashed cold water on my face. I looked at myself in the mirror. I didn't look angry. I looked tired again. When I came back out, the party was winding down. I said my goodbyes. My mother hugged me at the door. "You've been so quiet tonight. Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine, Mom. I'm just tired." "You work too much, sweetheart. You should take a break sometime." I had just taken a break. She had forgotten. I drove home in silence. I didn't turn on the radio. I just drove. When I got to my apartment, I sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop. I pulled up the documents from Marcus Chen's portfolio. I reviewed the strategies we had implemented. Then I pulled up the pitch deck my brother had posted on LinkedIn, proudly announcing his funding. It was almost identical to a model I had created 8 months ago for a different client. Not copied, but clearly influenced. Clearly guided by someone who understood my methodology. Marcus had taken my work and given it to my brother. My brother had used it to secure funding, and I had been excluded from the celebration because I hadn't been available for a few hours when he demanded it. I closed my laptop. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there, feeling the weight of something I had been avoiding for years. I was not a person to my family. I was a resource. And when I wasn't available to be extracted, I became irrelevant. The next morning, I called Marcus Chen. "Marcus, it's Alyssa. I need to talk to you about something." His voice was cheerful. "Of course. What's up?" "I noticed you invested in my brother's company." There was a pause. "Oh yeah. Small world, right? He's a smart guy. I think he's got a real shot this time. Did you know he's my brother when you invested?" Another pause. Longer this time. "He mentioned it." "Yeah, why? Is there a problem? Did you use strategies from our work together to help structure his pitch?" Silence. "Marcus, I need you to answer the question." He sighed. "Look, Alyssa, I didn't think it was a big deal. You and I have a professional relationship. Your brother came to me looking for help, and I gave him some advice. I didn't share anything confidential. You shared my methodology. I shared general financial principles. That's not proprietary." He was right. Technically, legally, but it wasn't about legality. "I need to know something," I said. "Did my brother tell you I refused to help him?" Silence again. "He said you were too busy, that you'd gone on vacation and didn't have time for him." He seemed really hurt by it. There it was. My brother had framed my boundary as abandonment, and Marcus had filled the gap, using tools I had given him, and I had been erased from the story entirely. "Marcus, I'm going to need to end our working relationship." "What? Alyssa, come on. This is ridiculous. I didn't do anything wrong." "You didn't. But I can't work with someone who doesn't understand boundaries. I'll refer you to a colleague who can take over your portfolio. You'll be in good hands." "You're really going to drop me as a client because I helped your brother?" "I'm ending our professional relationship because our values don't align. I'll send the transition details by end of week." I hung up. I sat at my desk for a long time. Then I opened my client database and made a note in Marcus's file. "Professional relationship terminated. Boundary violation." That evening, my brother called. "What the hell? Alyssa, Marcus just told me you dropped him as a client because of me." "I didn't drop him because of you. I dropped him because he didn't respect professional boundaries." "Are you kidding me right now? He helped me when you wouldn't. And now you're punishing him for it. I didn't raise my voice. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm making a business decision. This is insane. You're acting like I did something wrong. You told Marcus I abandoned you. That's not what happened. I set a boundary. You didn't respect it. Then you went around me and made me look like the bad guy in the process. I didn't make you look like anything. I just said you were busy. You said I was too busy to help my own brother. You framed it as rejection. And then you benefited from work I did while I was written out of the story completely. He was quiet for a moment. Then his voice changed. Defensive, sharp. You know what? You've changed. Ever since you started this company, you've become cold. You care more about business than family. I took a breath. I care about being treated like a person, not an ATM. Oh, here we go. You think everyone's just using you because you have money now. That's paranoid, Alyssa. You called me 2 weeks ago asking for help with financials. You didn't ask how I was. You didn't ask about my business. You just asked for what you needed. And when I couldn't give it to you on your timeline, you made me the villain. Because you were supposed to help me. That's what family does. And what have you done for me, David? Silence. When I started my company, did you help? Did you show up? Did you ask if I needed anything? You didn't ask. I shouldn't have to ask. You see me working myself into the ground, and you just assume I'm fine because I'm capable. But the moment I'm not available, I'm the bad guy. This is unbelievable. I'm trying to build something, and you're making it about you. You had a whole dinner party celebrating your funding. I was there. Did anyone mention that I also built a company? Did anyone acknowledge that I've been running a successful business for 4 years? That's different. How? Because you're good at that stuff. It's easy for you. And there it was. The truth. I wasn't celebrated because my success was expected. I was competent. So it didn't count. My brother's success was remarkable because he had struggled. My success was invisible because I had made it look effortless. I had been erased by my own competence. David, I'm going to go now. Alyssa, come on. I hung up. I didn't block him. I just stopped answering. Over the next 2 weeks, my phone rang a lot. My mother called. Alyssa, your brother is very upset. What happened with his investor? I explained calmly. She didn't understand, but Marcus was helping him. Why would you end that? Because it was a conflict of interest. You're making this so complicated. He's your brother, and I'm a person, not a resource. She sighed. I don't understand why you're being so difficult. I didn't argue. I just let her talk until she ran out of things to say. My sister called. Everyone's saying you're mad at David. Are you okay? I'm fine. Do you want to talk about it? It was the first time anyone had asked me that in years. Not really, but thank you for asking. She paused. For what it's worth, I think you're right to set boundaries. I just don't think I'm brave enough to do it. I appreciated that. My father called last. His voice was stern. Alyssa, I think you owe your brother an apology. For what? For making this situation more difficult than it needs to be. He's trying to build something, and you're putting obstacles in his way. I'm not putting obstacles anywhere. I'm just not clearing the path for him anymore. That's the same thing. No, Dad, it's not. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said something I'll never forget. You used to be so helpful. I don't know what happened to you. I used to be useful. That's what he meant. I'm still helpful, I said quietly. Just not at my own expense anymore. That's a selfish way to live. I hung up on my father for the first time in my life. I sat on my couch and stared at the wall. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel empowered. I just felt alone. But I also felt something else clear. The weeks that followed were strange. My family stopped calling, not because we had fought, but because I had stopped being available in the way they needed me to be. No one asked how I was. No one checked in. The silence was loud, but my business kept growing. I signed to more major clients. I hired 3 more employees. I started getting invited to speak at industry conferences. My name started appearing in business publications, not as David Beard's sister, but as Alyssa Beard, founder and CEO. I was becoming visible on my own terms. One evening, about 6 weeks after the dinner party, I got an email from my brother. Subject: I get it now. The body of the email was short. My investor pulled out, said my projections were unrealistic and my cash flow model didn't make sense. Turns out the financial structure Marcus helped me with only worked on paper. I don't know how to fix it, and I don't know who to ask. I know I burned the bridge with you, and I don't expect you to help. I just wanted to say I understand now why you do what you do, and I'm sorry I didn't see it before. I read it 3 times. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I opened a new document and wrote down everything I knew about sustainable business funding, realistic financial modeling, and long-term growth strategy. I wrote it like I was teaching someone who had never learned, because he hadn't. I sent it to him with a note. This is not consulting. This is education. If you want to build something real, start here. If you want me to do it for you, I can't help you. But if you want to learn, I'm willing to teach. He responded 2 hours later. Thank you. I'll read it. I don't know if he ever did, but I had done what I could without sacrificing myself. 3 months later, my company hit a major milestone. We were featured in a national business magazine as one of the top women-led consulting firms in the country. The article included an interview with me, a photo of my team, and a breakdown of our growth trajectory. My mother texted me the day the article came out. Saw the article. Very impressive. Your father and I are proud. I stared at the message for a long time. Proud. Not we always believed in you. Not we're sorry we doubted you. Just proud, in past tense. As if they had supported me all along. I didn't respond. A week later, my father called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Alyssa, I saw the article. It's great. Really great. I wanted to say, I think I understand now why you made the choices you did. I don't agree with all of them, but I understand. Give me a call when you can. I saved the voicemail. I didn't call back, not because I was angry, but because I didn't need his validation anymore. Around the holidays, my sister reached out. Hey, I know things have been weird with the family. I just wanted to say I miss you. Not because I need anything. I just miss you. I met her for coffee. We didn't talk about David, or our parents, or money. We just talked. About her art. About my work. About life. It felt normal, human. At the end, she said something that surprised me. I think you're the bravest person I know. I don't think I could have done what you did. What did I do? You stopped letting people treat you like you didn't matter. I didn't know what to say to that. As the year came to a close, I looked back at everything that had happened. The business was stable. My team was strong. I had money saved. I had clients who respected me. I had a life that was mine. But I also had a family that didn't understand me. A family that saw my boundaries as cruelty. A family that loved me conditionally on the condition that I remained useful. I thought about reaching out. I thought about smoothing things over, about being the bigger person, about restoring the peace. But then I remembered something. Peace at the cost of myself is not peace. It's surrender. I didn't reach out. Instead, I focused on the people who had shown up, my team, my real friends, the clients who valued my work, the people who saw me as a person, not a function. I stopped waiting for my family to see me. I started building a life where I was already seen. On New Year's Eve, I was alone in my apartment again. But this time, it felt different. I opened the champagne I had bought 2 years ago. I poured myself a glass. I toasted to no one. To choosing myself, I said quietly, even when no one else does. I took a sip. It tasted like freedom. The thing about setting boundaries is that people will test them. They'll push. They'll guilt. They'll reframe your self-respect as selfishness. And if you hold the line, some people will walk away. But the ones who stay, the ones who adjust, who learn, who respect the boundary, those are your people. Everyone else was just passing through. My brother's business failed 6 months later. I heard about it through my sister. He had run out of money, couldn't secure more funding, and had to shut it down. My mother called to tell me, her voice heavy with disappointment. He's really struggling, Alyssa. He's back at home. I think he could use some support. I took a breath. What kind of support? I don't know. Maybe some advice? He respects you, even if he doesn't always show it. If he wants advice, he can call me himself. She was quiet. You're really not going to reach out? Mom, I'm not going to chase someone who only shows up when they need something. If he wants a relationship with me, it has to be mutual. I'm not a vending machine. That's harsh. No, it's honest. She hung up without saying goodbye. David never called. And slowly, over the course of that year, I stopped expecting him to. I stopped expecting any of them to see me the way I needed to be seen. Not because I gave up on them, but because I gave up on the version of me that thought love meant erasing myself. I learned something important during that time. You can love people and still not let them drain you. You can be family and still require respect. You can be generous and still protect your energy. And most importantly, you don't owe anyone access to you just because they're related to you. That last one took the longest to accept. But once I did, everything changed. I stopped apologizing for my success. I stopped downplaying my achievements to make others comfortable. I stopped carrying people who refused to walk on their own. And I started living like someone who deserved the life she built. Because I did. 2 years after the dinner party that changed everything, my company was acquired by a larger firm. Not because I wanted to sell, but because they made an offer I couldn't refuse. An offer that would secure my financial future for life. I accepted. The day the acquisition closed, I sat in my office, soon to be someone else's office, and looked around. I had built this from nothing, with no support, with no safety net, and I had done it by refusing to shrink. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. Heard about the acquisition. Congratulations. That's a big deal. I stared at the message. No apology. No acknowledgement of how wrong he had been. Just congratulations, as if he had been supportive all along. I didn't respond. Instead, I texted my sister. I'm buying a house. Want to help me look? She responded immediately. Yes, finally. I'm so proud of you. And for the first time in years, I believed someone when they said that. Looking back now, I don't regret any of it. Not the boundaries I set. Not the relationships I let go of. Not the silence I chose over exhausting explanations. Because the life I have now, the peace I have now didn't come from being loved by everyone. It came from being respected by the people who mattered, and from learning to respect myself enough to walk away from people who didn't. My family still doesn't understand. They think I'm cold, distant, and changed. And maybe I have changed, but not in the way they think. I didn't become cold. I became clear. I didn't become distant. I became discerning. I didn't become selfish. I became selective. And I learned that the people who call you selfish for setting boundaries are usually the ones who benefited from you having none. So here's what I know now. After all of it, you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You don't have to earn love through exhaustion. You don't have to prove your worth by being useful. And you don't have to stay in relationships that require you to be less than you are, just to make someone else feel like more. Love without respect is not love. It's extraction. And I'm not a resource anymore. I'm a person. And that person chose herself, even when no one else did.